Hello and welcome to Food for You and the Planet, a fresh new podcast that explores healthy and environmentally sustainable food solutions. This podcast is brought to you by Healthy Plan Eat Online Farmers Market. I'm Dr. Rosemary Ostfeld and I'm your host. Together, we'll hear from leaders in environmental science, agriculture, medicine, nutrition, entrepreneurship, and more. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to hear all the latest in healthy and sustainable food with Food for You and the Planet. Today's episode features José Campos, PhD, Executive Director of the Sustainable Agriculture Network. Dr. Campos has almost 40 years of experience in international development, science, education, combining technical, senior management, and governance expertise with international cooperation, technical, academic, and scientific organizations, and NGOs. He has strong technical expertise in sustainable management of forests and rural development and is passionate about collective impact to address the global challenges. From 2008 to 2016, he was Director General of CATIE, an international organization based in Costa Rica. From 2017 to April 2019, he was chair of the Board of Trustees of CIFOR and currently vice chair of the board of the CIFOR-ICRAF Merger. He has served in several boards and task forces, including IUFRO, World Bank, Inter-American Development Bank. He has been faculty of CATIE's graduate school. José has a doctorate in forest sciences from the University of Oxford, a master's in natural resource management from CATIE, University of Costa Rica, and a Bachelor of Science in forestry from the University of São Paulo, Brazil. He has published over 100 technical and scientific papers. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Rosemary. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Let's start off with our first question. So what is the Sustainable Agriculture Network and what types of work does it do?
Well, SAN, as we call it, is a global impact network. There is a whole approach called impact networks, and SAN is a global impact network of member organizations, not individuals, but organizations for profit and non-profit from all continents, whose mission is to transform agriculture. So it's a very challenging and powerful mission. Transforming agriculture is key. But it's so complex that we believe in the need to work through collective impact based in multi-stakeholder partnerships that would tap the potential of the collaborative intelligence of the different members. We provide support via projects, technical assistance, capacity development, coaching to different stakeholders to achieve transformational change in agriculture. The way we see our work is like a concert, like the audience who pay for our services, they pay for our services. So we organize an orchestra. The orchestra is made of our members and strategic partners. And we, the Secretariat, act as the conductor for that concert and actually deliver value for money.
How did you become interested in a career in food and agriculture?
Well, agriculture is the main driver of deforestation, biodiversity loss, water use, land degradation, greenhouse gas emissions, but at the same time is very important for the majority of the poor who are farmers and their livelihoods depend on agriculture. And at the same time, it's a big part of the problem, but it's also a big part of the solution. So not only our planet health depend on agriculture, but also our own health is this concept that is being called One Health. So human health and the planet health is one. Therefore, I realized that for me, the most effective strategy to address the polycrisis, as they call it, so many crises at the same time that we're facing, is to transform agriculture and to make it a power for good, for transformation. We have heard about this term, the power of the fork. We all eat, we all have the power by making good choices in the food we eat to impact not only our health, but also impact our planet. So I thought that at this stage in my career, I wanted to move from mainly forestry to sustainable agriculture.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the work that you did in your career earlier on related to forestry and how you eventually began working with SAN?
Well, my family came from an agricultural background. You know, we used to grow coffee. And when I went to study forestry in Brazil, it was a school of agriculture. So forestry and agriculture were very close. All my work, you couldn't separate actually this kind of work in forestry with agroforestry, agriculture. And then I got involved into landscape management, watershed management, agroforestry systems. And I thought that definitely, and I started in my work in CATIE for many years, worked in ICDP programs, integrated conservation and development programs, and then became involved in what you mentioned already in my bio with international organizations, in boards, at advisory committees. So that has been my career, and my dream was working enhancing collaboration, and networks are key for that. I believe in this concept of the collaborative intelligence. We humans depend on collaboration to achieve transformational impact.
What is the history of SAN and some of its major accomplishments over the years?
Well, SAN started by working in certification in agriculture. So SAN was an initiative initiated by Rainforest Alliance, the first sustainable agriculture scheme in certification. So these members, they created at that time this network, a secretariat to coordinate the work of the independent members from Rainforest Alliance. However, in 2018, there was a decision to leave certification, but still remain in sustainable agriculture. Certification is one way of achieving sustainable agriculture. It's not the only way. So I was hired to start this new phase. It's a new business model. How do we, because before SAN was, the network was living, the secretariat from royalties. Members were also getting benefits from their certification systems. So now we needed to find a new business model. And I think we've been successful in developing this business model in the last 5 years. I came to work with SAN in 2019.
You touched upon it a little bit earlier, but how does sustainable agriculture address climate change, biodiversity loss, and rural poverty?
Sure. Well, if you see the statistics about 70% or more, or 80%, FAO state of world forest says more than that, of deforestation is driven by agriculture, land conversion, forest degradation, biodiversity loss is the same. More than 70% of water use that we use humans is used by agriculture. Soil degradation, agriculture has been, especially the agriculture in the last 6, 7 decades, it's been using lots of synthetic inputs, chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides. So, and this is actually, pesticide use is a huge driver of environmental degradation, biodiversity loss, pollinators. So you can actually work on what it's now being called regenerative agriculture, regenerative practice. Soils are very important to restore biodiversity in the soil, carbon, and using nature-based solutions, instead of synthetic molecules solutions. And actually, our planet has been working with those solutions for billions of years, natural enemies, for example. So we could take advantage of that and implement a kind of agriculture that can continue feeding humanity, being a business for people, and also helping farmers make a living. So how? Well, we support, for example, integrated pest management practices, agroforestry systems, cover crops, and something very important, I think it's the next level of work that we need to be doing, is integrating the farm scale with the landscape scale. So it's not only about having farms being managed sustainably, but also integrate those farms in the landscape so that the, let's say, water resources, the communities living in those landscapes could actually benefit from those regenerative practices.
What is SAN's general strategy and process?
Yes, I already mentioned about we are a network, and that was the reason I came to SAN. The challenges we are facing, agriculture is facing, humanity is facing, are very complex. And there is no one organization that could actually address those challenges. The knowledge needed is huge, and engaging the different stakeholders is an amazing challenge. So we believe in the power of collaboration. So we are a network, but we want to make it a network that really collaborates. That's why we call it an impact network that has an impact. So the first thing is the strategy is through working together in collaborative approaches. And also this thing, it means lots of mindset changes from staff at the Secretariat, what we call it a network mindset. Everyone needs to have a network mindset. Members as well, and understand that we depend on each other, that the differences, nature has favored diversity, biological diversity, for example. So in a network like SAN, also we tap on the advantages of having diverse organizations, diverse people, a diversity of skills and talents that we could tap. And the key secret is how to manage those multi-stakeholder partnerships, how to coach those partnerships. And this is what we are trying to do. So some specific activities, for example, one is establishing what we call regional hubs. So we have regions like Mesoamerica, the Amazon regions, East and West Africa, South Asia, Southeast Asia, Europe, and North America. So at this moment, we are working in developing the first regional hub in Southeast Asia, because those are countries that are closer together, share similar agroecological conditions, cultural backgrounds, political backgrounds. They are used to collaborate politically. So the idea is to facilitate, because not everything can be or should be coordinated from the Secretariat. As we said before, we are the conductors, we are not the musicians.
What is SAN's Sustainable Agriculture Framework and how is it used?
The Sustainable Agriculture Framework at SAN, it's a framework that was developed based on the many years of SAN developing a certification framework. So it's an outcome-based, results-based framework, taking into consideration the different elements of sustainable agriculture, like reducing greenhouse gas emissions, conserving soils and water resources, restoring biodiversity. So all different elements are part of the outcomes that are included in the SANSAF. So the SANSAF, as we call it, it's a tool, but it's also a roadmap. It's a manual where we could see different practices that could be implemented. So it helps us also to sit and discuss with clients, with partners about what we want to achieve. So we see in the framework different outcomes, different objectives, and different practices that we could implement to achieve those outcomes.
Can you tell me a little bit about 3 of SAN's key programs, TerraViva, Ecoasis, and CoAmbition?
Sure. Yes, TerraViva is, we call them signature programs, the 3 of them that you have mentioned. TerraViva is a landscape program. It's a landscape approach where we believe that we need to strengthen the governance processes in a given landscape that would actually allow for local stakeholders to be empowered, to sit in the driver's seat and make decisions. And how we facilitate that, it's also we support them to agree on a shared vision for the landscape. And that shared vision is translated into what we call common territorial agenda. It's a plan, it's an action plan, where the local stakeholders say, okay, we have agreed, and this is the kind of landscape that we want to have. And then these are the actions that we would like to implement. So with that plan, they will be equipped to actually negotiate with donors, with government agencies, with themselves. And the other one, Ecoasis, is our nature-based solutions program. So it's everything that I talked before, integrating IPM, agroforestry systems, natural enemies, biological control, enhancing the natural infrastructure in a farm. That's Ecoasis. And CoAmbition is our program to work with corporates. You know, we are seeing how corporates are facing growing pressures on compliance from governments, from consumers, from NGOs. And they have their own programs and plans, sustainability targets. So we help them. We sit with them and discuss, okay, what do you want to achieve? Let's agree on an action plan and work together.
Can you share a bit about SAN's community-based monitoring and assurance system for regenerative agriculture in Colombia?
Sure, that's the CMAS program that we are actually this moment developing the pilot. We have noticed that working with the corporate sector, they are implemented what they call sustainable sourcing programs. So this is a top-down, corporates come with the targets. They want to source from sustainable sources. So our response was CMAS, how community could actually do their own monitoring and provide assurance so that they will have a competitive advantage because they will have data on how they are managing their farms, their landscapes. So we are supporting communities developing this tool so that they can collect data, analyze data, monitor, and then communicate and present reports to the different actors, and actually that could give them benefits in accessing those markets that are looking for that kind of sustainable managed agricultural products. This is a program that's been funded at this moment through a Tinker Foundation grant in Colombia, as you said, in a coffee area.
Can you share a bit about SAN's work identifying integrated pest management and biodiversity-friendly agriculture practices in Malaysian oil palm production?
Sure. This is a program that we are developing along with the corporate Ferrero, the chocolate company, and they are interested in promoting nature-based solutions in oil palm. Like all crops, oil palm has pests and diseases. So, and usually what farmers do is they use pesticides, insecticides. And in our case, what we are doing is we have identified native species in Malaysia, working along with members, CABI, Wild Asia, or the UPM University in Malaysia. So we have identified native species that we believe provide resources, opportunities to beneficial insects, could be herbs, could be shrubs. And then we designed ways of enhancing the natural infrastructure, bringing those plants into the farm, into the crop, so that beneficial insects, pollinators, natural enemies, could actually find habitat and food in those green infrastructures within the crop.
You mentioned that SAN works with corporations, and one example is with Nestle. Can you share a little bit about how that partnership works and some of the positive changes that have been made through it and other partnerships with corporations?
Yes, this is a very successful partnership. As you said, it's a partnership. We are working along with our member, FGN, Fundación Global Nature from Spain, and other members and other strategic partners. Nestle is implementing what they call their sustainable sourcing program with vegetables and spices. And so we joined forces 5 years ago, 6 years ago, to discuss how this could be implemented. So SAN provides this infrastructure of partnerships. So Nestle discusses with us and with FGN what kind of targets they want to achieve, what kind of actions should be implemented, cover crops, improving biodiversity, all different interventions that need to be done. And then they provide the funding. So we support the work, engaging their suppliers and the farmers to start changing, implementing those regenerative practices. It has been growing a lot. It's working now in 3 continents, 12 countries. And I think the success of this initiative is because we are not consultants to Nestle. We co-create along with them, and then continuously discuss and collaborate on what needs to be done. So they gain because through us, they have access to technical assistance, knowledge, this infrastructure of members in many countries, in many continents. And then we benefit by having direct access to their suppliers, farmers, and working directly in the field.
what are some ways other organizations can work with SAN?
Yes, there are a few ways, and probably the first response that I would have is becoming members. We are an open network, so NGOs, research institutions, social enterprises, intergovernmental organizations are members of SAN. So our bylaws provide for different kinds of members. So if an organization is willing to collaborate with SAN, one option is to check our website, check in membership what kind of benefits and requirements are needed, and then they see if their values align with our values, if they would benefit us as well. We ask for all members to share the mission of transforming agriculture. It's all about moving into sustainable agriculture. Corporates and financial institutions also can seek us and discuss. We are willing to have conversations about how we could collaborate with them. Again, we are not consultants. We would like to co-create with them and help them achieve their targets, their programs. And also, I think this infrastructure that SAN has, which is this global network, could help different initiatives, because we could implement this global nature of SAN with the local capacities of members. So we have international members, big members, but also we have local members working in Indonesia, working in India, working in, it's Kenya, different countries. And this is the power, because we are actually strengthening the capacities or giving opportunities to those local members. And for me, that's the only way to ensure sustainability, is we are working with civil society organizations in the Global South.
What are you most proud of so far in your career in food and agriculture?
Actually, I have always loved and enjoyed what I've done in my professional life. But this one, it was like, I designed it because I said, well, I want to work in promoting, fostering collaboration and in agriculture. And then SAN came as this opportunity. So I'm proud that we have been able in these 5 years to, together with the staff and the members, to transform. SAN is being transformed significantly. Our membership has grown in 4 years 3 times. Our revenues more than that. But we have a very capable team, and the engagement with members has grown a lot. In June, we had our annual meeting 1 week in Oxford, at the University of Oxford, where members came and we were discussing about all different ways, strategies we could enhance our collective intelligence. And we have a new strategic plan that will run from 2025 to 2030. So that was a big thing in Oxford. So I'm really proud. It fulfills me to run this organization and this amazing team of people, passionate members. So I feel proud of what I'm doing right now.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast and sharing so much about all of the great work SAN is doing. I really appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much, Rosemary.